Kate's in the kitchen, and you're invited too. I'm Kate, and this is my kitchen. It's summer in Las Vegas. It's about 109 degrees today, and the air conditioning in my car is out, so my car's at the shop. So today I'm going to make dinner simply by pulling from the pantry, the refrigerator, and the freezer. So let's talk about what I got out of each. Out of the pantry, I have some peppadews. These are my favorite peppers. I've got some jarred pesto. This is one of the few pre-made ingredients that I will buy. Some breadcrumbs and a bag of pappardelle. From the refrigerator, I've got some Parmesan cheese, the last bit of a package of prosciutto. I've got a couple of zucchini, a little bit of leftover caramelized onions from pizza night, some leftover Alfredo sauce. I also got some sausage left from pizza night and the pizza sauce. I don't buy pizza sauce or marinara. I've been cooking since I was about 13, so that's 50-ish years, and I've never bought spaghetti sauce. Then I've got a little bit of artichoke spinach dip left, and then I've got some cream out of the freezer, a loaf of bread, and some chicken that I pre-cooked and froze. So, what am I going to do with all this? Stay tuned and you'll find out. I forgot to mention one more thing I got out of the refrigerator. I have some mushrooms that I was going to do something with the other day and never got to it. I don't want them to go bad, so I'm going to use them in this dinner, and this is actually going to be the first thing we're going to take care of. I'm going to make oven roasted mushrooms. This is 2 packages of mushrooms. You can use whatever kind you like. I'm going to add some olive oil. I'm going to start with a little. You can always add more. About a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. 4 cloves of garlic, and it's sliced very thin. And a teaspoon of chopped thyme. And I'm going to go ahead and mix that all up. And then I'll see if I need to put in more olive oil. I don't want to over oil these. Maybe just a tad. It comes out to about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, but I try to use less if possible. I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees. I'm going to pour these out onto the baking sheet, making sure to get all that beautiful garlic too. And I'm going to spread this out in one layer. I'm going to give them a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to put them into the preheated oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And they'll be absolutely delicious. The roasting just intensifies the flavor of the mushrooms. I'm going to do a sort of zucchini parmesan. So I took those 2 zucchini and I sliced them into nice thick slices, because this is going to be fried, but it's going to finish in the oven, and I don't want it to get mushy. So I've got seasoned flour here, some salt and pepper, and a little basil. And then next they're going to go into the egg. Drip off the excess. Make sure you get it all. And then into the breadcrumbs. Pat it on so it sticks nice. And then I'm going to put it onto a baking sheet that I have a wire rack on until I'm ready to cook these. You might wonder why I started with the sides when they were so easy to make. And that's because the main course is going to be just as easy because it's left overnight. So the pizza sauce, just going to put it into a pan. And I'm going to throw in this sausage that's left. So we're going to have a nice meat sauce here, and I just got to put that on the stove and heat it all up. Sauce number 1. Sauce number 2. I'm going to take this pesto and put it into a pan, the whole jar. And then I'm going to thin it out with a little bit of cream. And a little bit of chicken stock. I'm actually going to pour the chicken stock into the jar here so I can get all those last bits of pesto. You can see there's a lot of pesto left in there. Mix that up. Sauce number 2, ready to go. We have our roasted mushrooms with garlic. I'm going to let those cool for a couple of minutes and then transfer them to a serving bowl. Sauce number 3, my leftover Alfredo. And this is very thick, so I'm going to thin it out with a little bit of chicken stock. It's plenty rich as it is. It doesn't really need any more cream or cheese. And you might be wondering, why so many sauces? Well, there's only a little bit of each one. So you could make a pasta bar. Put a few extra toppings on the side, like some sliced olives, some dried tomatoes, of course grated cheese. And this is going to go on the stove as well. I've got some butter and oil heating up in a pan. I'm going to fry these 2 or 3 at a time till they're golden and then turn them over. And then they will go into the oven to finish. Here's our zucchini, nice and golden brown, ready to go into the oven. My husband and my son love to have bread with their dinner, so I had this loaf of par-baked bread in the freezer and I took it out to thaw. I'm going to brush it with some butter. And then I'm going to go ahead and bake it for about 5 minutes before I continue on with what I'm going to top it with. Now it's time to pull this whole dinner together. I've got the oven preheating both for the bread and the zucchini. I've got a pot of water coming to a boil for the pasta. So I'm going to take care of this bread. This is my leftover artichoke spinach dip. Got little bits of shallot and bacon in there as well. So I'm just going to spread it like that and give it a little sprinkle of cheese just to make it nice and golden on top. Doesn't need a lot because there's plenty of cheese in here. I'm going to continue on with this. I've got the leftover prosciutto and I'm just going to tear it into little strips and kind of set them up on there. And they're going to get nice and crispy in the oven. So I'm going to do 2 with prosciutto and 2 without. So I just need a little bit more here. Those are going to go into a 375-degree oven for about 5 to 7 minutes, or until the cheese is melted and bubbly. On the stove here, I've got all 3 of my sauces. On the right is the Alfredo, on the left is the marinara plus the sausage, and I'm going to add that little bit of caramelized onion I had left and stir that in. And then at the back I have the creamy pesto and my water getting ready to take the pasta. Here's my zucchini. When I go out to eat, a lot of places have eggplant parm or veal parm or chicken parm, but then they're putting provolone on it and mozzarella. If I'm saying zucchini parmesan, I'm doing parmesan. So I'm going to put these into the oven under the broiler to just melt that cheese. And rather than putting the sauce on now, I'm going to put the sauce on the side. So if there's leftovers, it doesn't make the zucchini get all soggy. Now it's time to plate. I'm going to start with my pappardelle and get that onto the plate. And this is definitely a family style meal or plenty of leftovers. And now that school's back in session here in Nevada, plenty of leftovers is what I'm aiming for. And it's time to sauce. I'm going to start with our sausage marinara. And remember, it's got those nice caramelized onions in there. And I've got some leftover fresh diced tomatoes, so I'm just going to give it that, get a little lightness into this dish here. Fresh and cooked tomatoes together is something special. Next, I'm going to put some of my Alfredo sauce. And on that, a little extra parm. Anybody guess what I'm going for yet? And now for my pesto. Have you guessed it yet? It's the Italian flag. So I only had a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but all together we have the flag. And just to drive home the point that that is green, I've got some leftover basil and parsley from the other night, and I'm just going to give that a little sprinkle to make that really poppin' green. So there we have our pasta tricolore, three-colored pasta, and we're not talking about the pasta actually, but the sauce. Thanks for spending time with me today. If you like my videos, please become a subscriber and please give me a thumbs up.